Jump Jim Crow was a song and dance from 1828 that was done in blackface by a white performer, Thomas Dartmouth. It was inspired by the song and dance of a physically disabled slave, Jim Crow. Jim Crow became a derogatory term for blacks, and from this, Jim Crow laws were born.
Just so every time I wheel about, I jump Jim Crow.
In 1892, Homer Adolph Plessy, a man who was 7/8 Caucasian, took a seat in a whites-only car on a train. When he refused to move to the cars reserved for blacks, he was arrested. This caused a separate but equal doctrine to take in effect. Jim Crow laws were laws of segregation as well as disenfranchisement that took place from about 1896 to 1960. Its purpose was to separate blacks and whites from daily life things such as buses, drinking fountains, pools, theaters, schools, etc. The idea was separate but equal, but whites were superior. These were enforced by using white-only signs as well as colored-only signs.
My name's Linda Brodnick. I was born in Cambridge, Ohio in February 41. I was born into segregation, yes. When I married a black man in the late 50s, early 60s, the impact was that, first of all, it was unheard of to have interracial marriage. So therefore, when we got married, we could not find any place to live. We could not go to restaurants or to movies, and we would be out on the street, maybe at the grocery store or something, and people would call us names. We were stopped by the police all the time for identification because a white woman was riding in the car with a black man.
There were many influential people who tried to reverse the effects of Jim Crow laws, such as Martin Luther King Jr. He was one of the most popular leaders of the civil rights movement from 1955 to 1968. He's most famous for giving his I Have a Dream speech.
I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are...
Along came Dr. Martin Luther King and the Rosa Parks and the marches and the Kennedys, and so we witnessed a lot of great things as they turned around.
Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. encouraged whites and blacks to live in peace and harmony. Many people were influenced by his work and partook in sit-ins like the Green Boro Four. Rosa Parks was another important figure in the civil rights movement. She was arrested for refusing to give up her seat for a white man.
A few white people boarded the bus, and one man was left standing, and I certainly did not plan to stand up, and I didn't consider myself breaking the law because I was in what was supposed to be our part of the bus. So my arrest brought about a protest from the people of Montgomery that lasted 381 days. And when we did go back on the bus, we didn't. The Supreme Court had handed down a decision that there would be no more racial segregation in transportation.
Charles Houston was another influential person who fought against Jim Crow laws. His efforts helped reverse the effects of segregation in schools and ultimately got rid of segregation as a whole.
Black Lives Movement is a lot like civil rights. With the demonstrations, they do call for peace. They are a little more violent, and I think the country needs a strong black leader that preaches peacefulness, not the violence.
Similar to the civil rights movement, the Black Lives Matter movement is taking into effect today. It's a member-led organization whose mission is to build local power and to intervene with violence inflicted on the Black community. The goal of the movement is to see a world where Black lives are no longer systematically targeted for demise. The movement started about 4 years ago after everyone was enraged when Trayvon Martin was shot and killed and was given no justice. A year later, they organized the Black Lives Matter Freedom Ride to Ferguson to seek justice for Mike Brown and all of those who have been torn apart by state-sanctioned violence. We've come a long way since Jim Crow laws have ended, but there is still not yet justice for Black lives.